Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Let the money pour in. Let the money. Ryan, stop hiding from the truth. I'm talking to not you, everybody. Stop it, stop it, stop it. The numbers show it. Ryan, they don't come through. Well, let's come through right now. And I want to see everybody's username come through right now that has talked so much good about South Carolina and not so much good about UConn. That's Ryan Renner. I'm Phil Becerra. Final score today, finally getting it our way a little bit. Final 87-58. UConn over who, Ryan? South Carolina. UConn over South Carolina. I know our predictions were way off. I get it. But if Ryan and I was to give up on this team that fast, the banner on this podcast would have disappeared as well. So you got to understand where we stand, why he's so happy, why I'm so happy. Finally getting our way a little bit. Man, today is a great day, Ryan. February 16th. Ryan, look, this right here will go down in the history of this podcast this day. You and I will, Jason D'Amico even, all of us, all of our beautiful subscribers, we're going to look back at this day and we're going to say, it happened. It happened. Because what I want to tell you is, Ryan, what did the announcer say before this game started? She said, this has nothing to do. Ryan, going back to my good friend Nate, 3 words. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. Well, Ryan, I care what you have to say, so excuse me. Ryan, as far as the game recap right this second, I don't care. The AP poll, I don't care. I don't care how the UConn Huskies got to South Carolina on a plane, on a bus. I don't care. Ryan, this is the game that they needed for us to believe again. Not only that, what's more important than what the announcer said? This changes everything next month. And I'm not talking about brackets. I don't care about that either. I'm talking about, can they really do it?
Yeah, this could really be the point of the season where it truly turns around. And I like how you said we're going to always remember this moment in the season because
Always. Always.
it just seemed like after the Tennessee game, everybody just gave up and the season was already over. UConn might as well not even show up to March Madness. We might as well just not even play any more games at all. Might as well stop the podcast and everybody just go home until next season. But all of a sudden, we kind of said it during the last check-in. Let's keep on believing in this team. Let's keep on showing up and coming through and believing. And, a really good thing happened today for all of us UConn fans and hopefully most of you guys watching as UConn finally did it. They finally beat a ranked opponent, but we'll go into the game recap here a little bit. And, of course, we knew it was going to be a really competitive and close game, at least for the first couple minutes, at least for the first quarter, maybe. A couple of silly turnovers from UConn at the start, but I really liked Paige Becker's aggressiveness right out from the start of the game. And how about Janelle Alfie crossing over Edwards in the paint? We haven't seen anything like that from her at all this season. Really nice to see out of her. Also had a really nice drive later in the quarter. Huge minutes from El Alfie to begin the game. You could tell South Carolina trying to get the 3 ball going. One of their worst performances from 3 for the whole entire season. UConn really honing in on them from outside the arc. We talked about how important the 3 ball was going to be from both teams. How about how UConn shot it from 3 today? Huskies end the quarter on a 12-3 run. Solid defense, good drives to the basket. 3 of 5 from 3. Really good start from UConn. And the train just kept on rolling as UConn was on fire from 3. Ashlyn Shade coming into the game, knocking down her first 3 attempts from 3. Azzi Fudd starting to heat up. Can't forget about the defense and the rebounding effort either. UConn absolutely demolishing the Gamecocks on the boards. Glad to see everybody fighting for the rebound. All this added up to a 22-3 run over the course of 7 minutes. South Carolina not done fighting there for a couple minutes. Gino taking a timeout. But after that, it was really just all UConn. Not only just the end of that half, but really the whole entire game after that. I would argue it was a perfect half, most likely a perfect game from UConn pretty much the whole way through. Janelle Alfie played her best game in the first half. Not just for the game, she already played her best game in the first half. The game wasn't over yet. Huskies, like I said, dominating the boards, could hardly miss from three, already up 45-23. And South Carolina just really looked out of sorts the whole entire game. Very unusual from them, especially at home. And I think it had to do some of it, like the commentators kind of mentioned, with the pace that UConn was playing at. That's kind of the advantage they get on a lot of these teams. And today, hands down, best game the Huskies have played. I mean, everybody that came into the game did what they had to do. How about Azzi Fudd? Starting 2 of 10, she kept shooting and scored 18 points in the third quarter, ended with 28. Just an unbelievable performance. And that third quarter was played without Sarah Strong and Janelle Alfie, so pretty much didn't have a true big on the floor for the whole entire third quarter. UConn just shot the lights out from three. One of the biggest keys to the game. They finally were able to knock down threes versus a ranked opponent. The defense was on point the whole entire game. Janelle Alfie, Ashlyn Shade played huge minutes today. Sarah Strong, another double-double. Paige Becker's double-double as well with points and assists. She also became the third player in Huskies history to have 2,000 points and 500 career assists and rebounds. And South Carolina's 71-game home win streak ends, and the drought of 4 years losing to the Gamecocks ends as UConn finally gets a massive victory today.
All right, do you have a pen and paper down in front of you? Because I'm going to throw you a lot of different things here, and I'm going to expect you to break down hopefully every single piece of information that I give you very quickly. That is, because we have to go over it. There's stuff pouring in, obviously, on X, stuff coming in from our subs. We have comments to get to, Ryan. I love it. I love it. I love it for these UConn Huskies. I love it for KK Arnold, a good family friend of ours, right? Who came through on this podcast to support us, you and I. I love it for her family. I love it for Gino, Morgan Valley, all of them. I just love it. And you talk about KK Arnold. Oh, my goodness. Give her the praise today. I don't know if there's a single player in the country who plays defense nonstop like KK Arnold. Always on the ball, always bringing that energy. The look on her face, man. To mess around with her on the court, I would never want any part of that, right? But as friendly as she is, you even met her. Right? I've met her before. To meet her in person, such a friendly person, right? Such a friendly person. But on the court, wouldn't want any part of that, Ryan. I'm telling you. So, look, this goes back to December 12th. Shamrock Classic. You remember it. We all remember it. 79-68 Notre Dame over UConn. That's where it all started, Ryan. That's where it all started. That's partially, I believe, why this score turned out the way it did today. When you talk about UConn Huskies women's basketball, something wasn't right all the way back then. You knew it. I knew it. We all knew it. And we're sitting here scratching our heads like, oh, my God. Oh, my goodness, Ryan, what's it going to be like? And then you turn to the second ranked game. And, the third ranked game, they keep dropping ranked games. And we're sitting here thinking, well, Ryan, UConn's supposed to be a championship contender, So what do you take away from that? First of all, the score. Nobody, I don't think even if this didn't come down to free throws. This didn't come down to a buzzer beater at the end, mid-court. Oh, bang! No, none of that. Ryan, this was terrible for South Carolina. You and I haven't seen this since covering UConn, period.
No.
87-58. So, first, please keep that in mind. Second of all, I want to ask you this. Look at this post from Charlie Cream. Paige Beckers had her second worst shooting game of the season, 4 of 12, and UConn still dismantled a South Carolina team that had won 71 straight at home. Ryan, I get it. Paige Beckers is on a mission to complete something, to win something. The whole team is, that is. But can I ask you this, and everybody else, drop your comments in the section below, even South Carolina fans, please. Ryan, am I jumping too far ahead here when I ask you, is this a great sign of what's to come after Beckers departs UConn? I think so.
Yeah, I hope so. I think this is really where UConn can turn the page, and I think, going back to that Notre Dame game, of course, Azzi Fudd was still injured, and the USC loss as well. Azzi Fudd played under 10 minutes in that game. It was their first game back. So both of those games, the first two ranked losses, Azzi Fudd didn't really have any impact on either of those games. And then we get to the Tennessee game where UConn is finally healthy. We have a really strong starting five. Azzi Fudd's finally back. And, it was a really disappointing loss. And I think that's why we thought we had a ton of momentum. Everything was finally together and in place. So I think that's why today it makes it even such a more important victory. And then you take into regard the blowout performance in South Carolina, losing at home in front of all those fans. Sold out arena. But yeah, I think this is really the point in the season now where we're turning the page and, things just get a lot more going up a lot more from here. And, Paige Becker's struggling from the floor, but she was only 3 rebounds short from a triple double. Like I said, you got 10 assists, 12 points and 7 rebounds. So, that's kind of been what Paige has been doing for most of the season, not really scoring a whole lot of points. Obviously, doesn't really get talked about a whole lot. Kind of disappointing performance from the floor, I think, for a majority of the season. But I think the one thing that's made the Huskies so strong, especially on the offensive side of things, is the way they can pass it around. And I think Paige Beckers, ever since Nika Mule left it last season, I think Beckers has really taken on the role of being the lead passer for this group and making sure all the mouths are fed on this team, makes a perfect pass almost every single possession, and sets up her teammates in the best possible way.
Let's go. Jeanette Adams said, we are going to see what this team is made of. They can surely give South Carolina their best game of the year. Go Huskies.
Well, yeah, I think
Woo!
yeah, I think they definitely gave them their best performance of the year, and yeah, we definitely know what UConn is capable of now. This is what we can possibly and hopefully look forward to now for the next month or almost 2 months now.
Oh, right. I can't believe it. I'm sitting beside of you. I don't know if I've ever been on a podcast with you in the history of covering this team, you and I, where I just want to sit with you for another hour or two, maybe, if you're down for that. No, you're like, come on, we need to get this video posted. How about a couple more, Ryan? Michael also said, my comment to Phil and Rye, someone on the team is going to have to chuck it up 20 to 30 shots the same way Juju chucked for USC. It worked. They beat UCLA. I mean, today, Ryan, it wasn't just one specific player. And talk about Sarah Strong again. How she was limited the past, couple games to single-digit points, I think. So she started off the season great. We know what she's capable of. And just a freshman, talk about Sarah Strong and Ashlyn Shade, all of them stepping out on such a bright stage today.
Yeah, it's kind of just coming down to these big games. Gino's talked about the big 3 players have to step up. Paige, Azzi, and Sarah, and they all 3 stepped up really big today. Of course, Azzi Fudd going absolutely bananas in the third quarter, and Sarah Strong, like I mentioned, another double-double, really, really solid performance down low, doing everything she needs to do. Paige Beckers, struggled shooting, but still able to set up her teammates with all those assists. And, all the other players on the team, even Kaylin Chen, who struggled most of the year shooting, had a great efficient performance from the field today. And Ashlyn Shade coming off the bench, doing what she's done for most of the season as well. Catch and shoot from 3. Really great to see out of her today as well.
Jason D'Amico, this game is a coin flip. Which UConn shooting team will show up? South Carolina is without a couple key players, so that will help. But I don't think it would be enough as their bench is very deep. UConn loses. 74-59. Peace.
Well, South Carolina is such a deep team, and that's obviously what makes them one of the best teams in the nation. But, fortunately, it didn't matter for them today. It didn't really factor into this game. I think UConn just really shut down, it seemed like almost everybody for South Carolina. Tahina Paopao made a couple threes. Joyce Edwards had a pretty good game. Malaysia Fulwiley did her thing for a little bit, but they didn't allow South Carolina to grab any momentum hardly at all. Just a little sliver in that first quarter. And after that, UConn just really dialed in on defense the whole entire game. Didn't really allow South Carolina to get into the lane at all. Just perfect, solid defense, not hardly fouling the whole game. Just like I said, almost a perfect game all the way around.
Ryan, I have a pair of comments. They're one by Big Baller and someone else came through. Thank you for coming through. But Ryan, they're very short, each one. I'm gonna save these for last. They say you get one player with 25 points, but not two against our defense. South Carolina 78, UConn 69, too much. Malaysia, full Wiley. South Carolina Gamecocks 91, UConn 60. UConn Huskies ain't beating nobody good. South Carolina Gamecocks will smoke UConn Huskies.
Well, I think that's what most people thought going into the game. And, it's not without doubt that UConn's definitely struggled not only this year, but the last year as well against ranked opponents. And, we were both getting tired of it. And I think a lot of UConn, almost all UConn fans were getting tired of it. So, today, like we said, it's not only this season, but it's just the past 2 years combined with everything that's happened with this team, struggling against the top tier teams. Finally, it was all able to just come together today, and UConn was finally able to play that picture perfect game, put it all together. Everything finally clicked, and we had this great moment today.
I'm glad you brought that up. People I know were sick of it. You were sick of it. I were sick of it. Everybody was sick of it, right? So, Ryan, I'm glad you brought it up. It's a good point because when you wish people so much success like we do, right? I mean, it's not hammering down the team, not being negative. No way. I'm just saying we were all sick of it. And I think you could say a million things that went right today for the UConn Huskies. But for them to come out like this, I appreciate you so much for bringing that up because I wanted a good point. For them to come out like this, what's your take very quickly? And then we will end this. Is that a case of, obviously, maybe they were getting tired of our comments on the podcast, you and I. They were getting tired of the comment section on this podcast. Maybe they were getting tired of the media around the country, talking them up. UConn can't do it, this and that. Again, favoring South Carolina. I didn't run into anybody who had UConn winning this game, mind you. It was UConn or South Carolina by 6.5, I guess the line was, I told you. So again, was this a case in the back of your mind? Do you believe UConn was just sick of it?
Yeah, and like I said, I think the loss at Tennessee really put it into perspective. And I heard Paige Becker say at practice there was an emphasis the whole week ever since after that game, just for the team to come together and finally, put an emphasis on starting the game really fast and really wanting to win the game. And of course, they obviously want to win every game. But, in these big moments when the lights are the brightest, we've talked about it before. It's just that, the stars on this team haven't all clicked together in any of these games. And it finally happened today. That's what they practiced all week, making sure their energy levels was high straight out of the gate. And that's what the result was today. All that practice finally paid off and everybody was able to come together and really put on a show.
Our phones stay silent for just a bit longer. I'm loving it. Ryan's loving it. Everybody, Jason D'Amico, pour yourself a drink. You deserve it. Ryan, I'll leave you with this. A post on X says the UConn women's team I saw today can win a national championship. Phil and Rye on